Week 8 of college football is here. Your Iowa Hawkeyes are 6-1 on the season in spite of the offense, and they're looking to move to 7-1 prior to the bye week, which comes next week. So that will be an interesting scenario. Of course, Iowa will have 4 games to end the season. But first, we take a look at my Week 8 picks across the landscape of college football. Penn State, Ohio State, the biggest game across the conference, probably across the country. This game will be played in the shoe. Ohio State 4.5-point favorites. I've got the Buckeyes straight up. I've got them against the number. But if I'm an Iowa fan, I am rooting for Penn State to win this game. I'm rooting for Ohio State to lose at least another game besides this one. But I'll take Ohio State straight up and against the number. Central Florida taking on Oklahoma. The Sooners playing host to the Knights. I've got Oklahoma winning. Oklahoma 17.5-point favorites. I think they cover that number. They blow out UCF. Oklahoma State and West Virginia. This game will be played in Morgantown. I've got Oklahoma State against the 3.5, but I've got West Virginia straight up. The Mountaineers get it done. Wisconsin trying to bounce back from that loss to Iowa last week. They'll be on the road for a tricky game in Champaign. I think they take care of business. They're 2.5-point favorites. I could see this game being close, though. And if I'm an Iowa fan, I'm rooting probably for Illinois. I don't think Illinois is going to recover enough in this division, in this conference, to make a run at the West title. But certainly beating Wisconsin here would make it almost impossible for Wisconsin to catch Iowa, I would think. I've got Wisconsin, though, straight up and against the number. Wazoo taking on Oregon. This game will be played in Eugene at Outson Stadium. I've got Oregon straight up. I've got Wazoo against the number. The Ducks 19.5-point favorites at home. Alabama, this game in Tuscaloosa. I've got the Crimson Tide. I've got Tennessee against the number. I think it'll be a close game. I could be wrong. Not a lot of confidence on this one. But I've got, again, Bama straight up, Tennessee against the number. They're 8.5-point underdogs. Utah at USC. I've got the Trojans at home. I think they cover the number. They're touchdown favorites, 7-point favorites against the Utes. Ole Miss taking on Auburn. Auburn playing host to the Rebels, and Ole Miss almost a full touchdown and PAT favorite on the road. They're 6.5-point favorites at Auburn. I've got the upset. This is my upset of the week. Auburn taking down Ole Miss. They'll cover the number, and they'll win straight up. Michigan at rival Michigan State. Michigan 24.5-point favorites. I struggle with these big numbers. I'll take MSU at home against the number, but the Wolverines win in the rivalry straight up. Duke taking on Florida State. The Seminoles playing host to the Blue Devils. Florida State 14.5-point favorites. I like Duke against the number, Florida State straight up. And Clemson against Miami. The Hurricane have had a weird couple of weeks. I'll take Clemson on the road. I think they cover the number, and I think they win relatively easily against the team in South Florida. So that brings us to Iowa and Minnesota. Battle for the Floyd of Rosedale. It'll be on NBC at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. And I've made the comment, I think Iowa's got a chance to win the rest of their games this year, but every game is going to be close. Now, maybe they get a blowout somewhere, special teams, bunch of defensive scores. That's possible that happens. I think back to 2021 when Iowa blew out Maryland on the road by like 30, 40 points. Part of that was 7 turnovers for the Terrapins, and that can complicate things, especially if Iowa's running game is working. I think Iowa will run decently well against Minnesota, but I also think Minnesota will run, and Iowa will fail to pull away. Obviously, you get the wide receivers going. It could be something different, but I have no expectation of that in this game. Here's my prediction, folks. I've got Iowa winning. All right, I've got Iowa winning at home. They're 3.5-point favorites. I've got Minnesota against the number. Final prediction, Iowa 13, Minnesota 10. Iowa 13, Minnesota 10. The Hawkeyes over the Gophers. And yes, another win over PJ Fleck. Kirk Ferentz will move to 7-0 over the bald man up north. Appreciate you tuning in for my Week 8 picks here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Be sure to tune in for Iowa postgame with Coach John Patterson following the game right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Enjoy your Saturday.